Welcome back to another episode of Talking Hockey, hosted by Liam O'Loughlin and Jason Shulman. The NHL regular season is coming to a close, and the playoffs are about to begin. So let's go over some of the highlights of this year, starting off with some of the recent head coach and GM firings. So the Golden Knights fired Bruce Cassidy from head coach with only 8 games left in the regular season. What do you think of that?
Yeah, very late fire. The last time this happened was in 2000 with the Devils firing their coach right before the playoffs started. This time the Vegas did it, which I think broke the record. I'm pretty sure, and I get it. This year compared to their last few years has been worse. They're still they're still in a playoff position, but it wasn't as dominant as they have been. And firing him, it did make sense, but he did win a Stanley Cup in the past, and they fired him and replaced him with John Tortorella, who's longtime coach. He's old guy. He won the Stanley Cup long time ago with, I think, Tampa back in 2004, and they've won the 7 of their last 8 games with him. So definitely great hire, and we'll see how they do in the playoffs again.
Patrick Roy also was fired at the head coach of the Islanders with only 5 games left of their season. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Islanders, they were mid-season, they were locked in for the playoffs. They were comfortably in a playoff spot, and then before Roy got fired, they started going down, and they were fighting for a playoff spot. So firing him to change how the team is doing made sense. And with the fire, nothing changed. They continued to go worse, and now they're out of the playoffs. So I don't really know how to feel about that. Definitely, they could have fired him earlier. Before they got started to go back worse, but it's just how they did it. I don't know.
Tom Fitzgerald is also fired, the general manager of the Devils, with 5 games left of the season. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Fitzgerald, he should have been fired a long time ago. They delayed this so long. The trade deadline, him making no moves was better than him making any moves, because I feel like his moves would have been terrible. The last few years, he's made terrible contracts, and with the state of how the team's doing, I don't know how the new GM is gonna take the team. There's definitely a lot of big signings that they can't really do anything about. That's really all I can say, really.
Earlier this season, the Sabres fired their general manager, Kevin Adams, and replaced him with Jarmo Kekalainen. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Jarmo Kekalainen has definitely done a lot better than Kevin Adams. Firing him towards the beginning of the season, where the Sabres were last in the Eastern Conference, I think. Right after they fired him, they went on, I think, 11-game win streak, and they now clinched the Atlantic Division and are in the playoffs for the first time since 2011. I think they've missed the playoffs so many times. I don't know how they're gonna really go into the playoffs with a lot of their great players not having much experience, like Thompson, Dahlin, Power. We'll see how they do. I think this could be the start of them going on a run in the next few years. I don't know how deep they'll really go. If they get past the second round, I'll probably be surprised, but I don't really see them getting far. They definitely have high potential, but I don't see them doing great.
This season, there were also 3 goalie fights between Nedeljkovic, Bobrovsky, Swayman, and Vasilevsky, and Markstrom and Shesterkin. How do you feel? What do you think about those fights?
Yeah, so first one, Nedeljkovic and Bobrovsky, there haven't been there aren't really goalie fights that often anymore. Well, there never really were, but seeing 3 this season was great. Nedeljkovic and Bobrovsky was the first one of the season. This happened earlier, I think, towards like the beginning of the season. I don't really remember when, but that was a good fight. And the second one was in the Stadium Series with Swayman and Vasilevsky. That one was it wasn't like a great fight, but it was still like great to watch. Swayman going up with like a stick stuck like in his pad was just like it was just funny. Then the last one, Markstrom and Shesterkin, that was probably the best one in my opinion. Because they have like the other ones like it was Panthers and Sharks. There's not really like much like rivalry between them. The Devils and Rangers have like a big rivalry, the Hudson River rivalry. That was definitely a great one to watch with both teams having disappointing seasons. To have like a game like that where they just have like full on brawl, it's just fun to watch.
So what do you think were some of the biggest surprises in this NHL season?
Yeah, biggest surprise gotta be Buffalo. Like them just like them showing up after the firing. Nothing changed for them after they fired the GM though. There's not like a like they don't change any players, they don't change a coach or anything. They just fire the general manager, which doesn't change anything on the ice, but they just showed up, which was awesome. Another big surprising was Anaheim, who they have the I think the third longest drought of missing the playoffs. This year, them making the playoffs, I don't see them really getting past like the first round, but definitely a surprising year for them, finally making the playoffs. Great. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia both really good. Pennsylvania doing great, I guess. Pittsburgh, everyone thought Pittsburgh was just going to be really bad because with Crosby and Malkin both being really old, Letang, Rust, whoever, they're like, no one expected them to be a playoff team. Like, that's crazy for them. Philadelphia, everyone just thought it would be like another bad year for them, and they literally like clinched the playoffs like a few like days ago. Like no one thought they were gonna be close. They were like I think like third to last in the division or whatever, the conference. But them just randomly getting it to the end because the Islanders just sold everything, I guess. And another team, Tampa Bay, who they're like I don't really know what to say about Tampa. They were like no one really thought they would be like that good. Like maybe they would make like wild card or something, but them being I think second or third in the division is really good. Like they have great experience. They have 3 finals, 2 cups with their core like Kucherov. Well they don't have Stamkos or Palat anymore, but still having Kucherov and I don't really know who else they have, but Vasilevsky goalie, he's probably winning the Vezina, a great goalie for Tampa, and I think they can get to like the conference finals probably.
Now, what were some of the biggest disappointments this NHL season?
Yeah, big disappointments. Gotta say, like the Rangers and Devils, both of them. Like Rangers having I don't know what's going on with them. Like Shesterkin's probably the best goalie, or like one of the best goalies, and he signed like a giant contract with the Rangers. I don't see like he had like so many like good decisions or like good places to go. Like one at Edmonton has a great offense and he's a great goalie and Edmonton could definitely use him. But him re-signing with the Rangers, who are going down, I don't see them even being like contenders in the next like 5 years really. And Devils, like everyone thought like after the 23 season, everyone thought the Devils were going to go on like a massive run, like a dynasty maybe, and it just didn't happen. Like I don't know where we're wrong for them. The signings, GM Fitzgerald, I don't know. Another team, Toronto, they've always like kind of been bad. Like they did make it past the first round in 23, and since then everything's been the same has been like before, like the last like 20 years before that. And another disappointment, kind of like I would have to say the entire like Pacific Division, with Edmonton, Vegas. Like McDavid said, it's like a pillow fight in the Pacific Division, whatever that means. I don't like how the Pacific Division's going. Number 1 in the Pacific Division has less points than one of the eliminated teams in the Eastern Conference. So disappointing for the Pacific Division, who Edmonton, Vegas, great teams. I don't know. They're just disappointing.
So that wraps up this episode of Talking Hockey. Come back next time to hear about the NHL playoffs.